Why do we still have the issues that we have?
Man, if you're going to break the law, you need to learn it.
Drop the mic.
You're welcome, Mayor Williams.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I can't wait to see the show.
Hey guys, welcome to According to Michelle with Michelle Taylor Willis. And we've been talking about focus this whole season and all the things that entails, right? So this week, I want to talk to you a little bit about being present, right? In order to stay focused, you have to be present. Really, what does that mean? I think it means a lot of different things for a lot of people, but I think when you are in a moment, and especially a moment in time like we are right now, what are you focusing on and what's keeping you specifically focused in the moment? Are you paying attention to the things that you need to be paying attention to? Are you doing the things that you need to be doing to get you to your next or your end goal, right? We talk about legacy a lot and knowing exactly for what you're playing and kind of reverse engineering back from that, right? So being present means you're paying attention to all the things that matter at that moment to get you to the legacy, to get you to your why, so that you end up exactly where you want to be and where you're supposed to be, not where you end up by happenstance. If you're not present and paying attention and seeing flags all around you, you could get distracted. And we know distraction is not a thing. Distraction means we're not present and we're easily swayed. And the only way that you can fulfill your purpose on this earth and help other people do the same thing is if you're focused on legacy and what the legacy play is. But the only way that can happen is if you remain present and focused on what's right in front of you and not worried about what's left or right? So be present. I can tell you right now, I'm very present because I've got someone who's presently sitting right next to me, and she is to my right. So I don't know if that makes me a little bit distracted, but I'm super excited to introduce you to someone that I honestly wouldn't have found myself. I think it's great that we have great staff that finds me really cool people, because we're going to talk a little bit about social justice and bird watching today. So I'm happy to bring you Sheridan Alford, who is she's actually an environmental educator, but she's also the co-founder of Black Birders Week. I know I had never heard about it either, but I'm really glad I did, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. Sheridan, welcome to the According to Michelle show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you. So I want to talk about all things bird watching.
Yes.
And I know we take a little bit of a trip to go and do a little bit of bird watching ourselves, but I have to ask you, were you born with binoculars in your hand?
Well, I was born blind, dang near. So I've worn glasses my entire life since elementary school. So maybe close enough.
Yeah.
But yes, I've been outside for as long as I can remember, looking at animals, wildlife. It's definitely something that I picked up later as an actual hobby. But it's something that I've always enjoyed for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
So outdoors was kind of your playground.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. But.
Right. I was about to say, I wasn't always into sports. I was that kid over there that's playing in the grass or the one that's over there on the rock or something. So that was definitely me. But always going on hikes and things when we would go on vacation, making sure to just take in nature, not just be out in it. That was kind of always my thing. I wanted to be a vet at one point.
Did you?
So I've always liked animals, so I kind of just put the two together, outside animals, and we ended up in the environment.
Well, animals are outside, so I guess it makes sense. And you were too.
Right, exactly. We were all there together.
You're all there together.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that, because I talk about this a little bit in my book, about fueling your kids' passions, right? When you see your children interested in something, even though it's not something that you think you might be interested in or you want them to be interested in, that you should really kind of nurture those requests. Sure. Did your parents do that for you? And do you think that's how you ended up where you are now?
Definitely. I can definitely attribute my mom and dad, grandparents, really just fueling and feeding, like you said, but also encouraging to pursue further. It's one thing to kind of be like, good job, you're doing great, but also here's this opportunity, you might like that, or maybe you should go try and do this camp or something. Kind of just my parents definitely threw me into camps, and if I liked it, cool, we'll stick with that. If I don't like it, throw it on and go to the next. So it was definitely something that my parents emphasized and encouraged. I think it's important, the kids care about different things and they go through different phases, but sometimes things stick and they can be really good at it. So even if you don't think like environmental education, what does that do, or can you make money doing that, which you can, like
you're like, I do it every day.
Right. But yeah, you might as well fuel it, and they can do something that they love. So
right.
in the process.
Now your mom is a teacher, right?
She is.
So, I mean,
and she's a great teacher. I think she follows the same ideology as you of nurturing her own children. So that comes out definitely when she's teaching students, and she's middle school. So that's really pivotal. Like they're trying to figure out if they're going to go to college or, what they're going to do for high school or a career at that stage. So she really tries to do the same thing with them and encourage them to try new things or different things, put things in front of them that they might not have known, and really expand their horizons. So she does that with them. She does it with me. And I hope to carry that on through the things that I try and do. So yeah.
Right, because you're going to be finishing your master's, and then you want to teach middle school as well, right?
Well, I want to teach.
Elementary.
I want to educate. I don't know if I want to teach like in the school setting, but I definitely am very volunteer oriented, very community oriented. Yeah. Kids go to the library and they do outdoor events and projects and things like that. So that's kind of my realm. I love community-based learning.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that for a second. Mm-hmm. So bird watching.
Yes.
That is your community right now, right?
Right.
What made you hone in on bird watching, right? As you're out there and realizing outdoors are your thing, animals, plants, all this stuff. Right. Why birds?
Specifically, it goes back to a middle school? No, it was high school. Mm-hmm. A high school language arts class, which is the most random place to learn about something outdoors. But we were learning about, the world around you, existentialism. And our teacher had a kind of like a program. And he said, explain something to someone who is not from Earth. Mm. So it was like one of the things was a chair, has 4 legs, you sit on it, stable. That's your description. The next thing was a bird. So now you're like, okay, it has feathers. Well, nothing else has feathers. So now you got to describe that. It has a beak. Nothing else really has a beak. Now you got to describe that. So it really just showed me how unique birds were. Uh-huh. And I was like, I'm fascinated by this. I don't know how they fly. I don't know how their feathers are created. I don't know, how do the colors generate within the species? All these things that I had no answers to, and I need to find out. So as I went to college, I got into wildlife and kind of figured out there's a whole major for this, and people do this for a living. And it kind of just stuck. Yeah. I figured out different activities that I could do with birds. There's research you can do, and I just flew with it, ran with it.
Oh, you flew with it. No pun intended.
Took off. Yeah. So yeah.
So okay, let me ask you this. Honestly. Mm-hmm. So when you told your parents you wanted to, you know where I'm going with this, right? I know. And they're like, yeah, baby, we're going to nurture you.
They're like on the side, like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do that, but right. But yeah. Like I said, they like to accept it. So they accepted it. They're like, cool, sounds great. You can do that. And then kind of started, as I would tell them things, because when you get into something, you get excited about it.
Sure.
And you're like, Mama, I learned this new bird, or I figured out this bird feeder situation. She's like, okay, cool. But so she got her own bird feeder. And so now my mom calls me and is like, there's this really cool bird and I'd never seen it before at my bird feeder. And so it's kind of like an exchange of information, because I'm learning about it, in school and through my experiences. Right. And my parents, they don't know much about it. They didn't grow up in that same realm. But I can teach them something, and if you're receptive to it, then it can be a really good bonding moment, but also just nurturing information, information that neither of you would have known before.
Right. So. And I think you made a key statement, if you're open to it.
Right.
And that's really what learning is about, right? Just being open.
Right.
And to be a willing receptor of knowledge, so to speak.
Understanding that you don't know everything. But also someone else does. Like someone else knows what you don't know.
That's right.
So I just learn from people learn from me, and we all get together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There are not a lot of black bird watchers that I've seen. Maybe they're out there and we just don't get exposed to them, right?
A little bit of both.
Right, yeah.
I was the only black female in most of my classes at UGA Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources. so there weren't any peers of mine. And then you have social media. So social media is really, I mean, it's where everybody gets together for anything. So that same thing applies to Black people outdoors. You know, you might run into somebody on a trail that's Black, and y'all definitely like talk.
You're like,
because,
no, what's up?
Right?
You
Like
do the head nod. You're like,
I see you. Right? We're here. We're here. But social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, kind of have definitely linked me to other Black bird watchers. And I have, at this point, I could definitely call them friends. Yeah. And so I have a lot of friends in even different states. Like, I'm like, whenever I end up in Texas, we need to link up and we need to go bird watching. Right. So it's larger than I thought, but it is not huge. Like we are making way, we're making a stance, diversifying the spaces that are traditionally white, rich men, or white and rich. And we're making a name for ourselves, making space, essentially.
I like that. So, all right, so we're going to talk about you making that space. We got to take a quick break. But before we go to that break, I know that you have a favorite bird.
I do. Yeah.
And so we're going to pose the question to our viewers. What is Sheridan's favorite bird? Now, you don't answer.
I will not.
I want you to answer on the back side of this break. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more According to Michelle. Hey guys, welcome back to According to Michelle. I'm here with Sheridan Alford, and when we left, I asked her what her favorite bird was, and so now she's going to answer us. So,
wow. It's great that you asked. Yes. I love that because it actually ties into a little something that I got you.
Oh, gifts. Oh, wow, it's in a box. That means it's very important.
So, if you would like to take it out.
I would like to take it out.
So to answer Michelle's question, my favorite bird is the northern cardinal.
Oh, wow.
And so her mug says coffee with cardinals on it.
Yes, it does. Look at this. Yeah. This is beautiful. I have to make sure we get a nice picture of this. This is so nice.
Thank you.
And it's in my AKA green.
See,
ting. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so cardinal must be that's your.
It is my favorite bird, and then the BJ, of course, stands for Beanie Jean, LLC, Beanie Jean, whatever, which is my whole entity business that I have. But back to the cardinals. So yes, the northern cardinal is my favorite bird.
Thank you again. By the way, it's beautiful.
Problem, of course. Northern cardinals because they're kind of your everyday backyard bird. People see them all the time, but it's also a staple of North America. It's very endemic to Georgia, and they don't migrate during the winter months, so it's a year-round bird. So it gives you kind of like a pop of color during the winter when you're not really seeing much. You see that bright red of the male cardinals, and they're easy to identify. So I just think it's a charismatic species.
And they're beautiful. That's the only time I really like red.
Well, I mean, you know, go dogs, but yeah, they're also my alma maters.
Yes, okay.
I could go on and on. I could go on and on. Cardinals are great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, cool. So we know what that is. All right. So when we left, we were talking a little bit about us being exposed to environments that we normally aren't exposed to. Right. Bird watching, obviously, being one of those. Christian Cooper. That's what sparked this whole movement for you, right? With the
last year, yes.
Talk to us about that, and as somebody in his space, what that did to you and why that really spurred this movement.
Yeah, so the Christian Cooper, Amy Cooper situation happened in New York. Just a little rundown. He was birding in that. That's
what it's called, birding?
Birding or bird watching.
Oh, I can say bird watching.
I think the verb is birding.
Is it cooler to say birding?
I say birding.
I feel like it's better. Right.
Yeah,
he was birding.
He was birding. He was birding in Central Park, per his usual. He's very prominent up there. I have a couple of friends who know him personally. And a woman with her dog that was not off leash, that was supposed to be off leash. They had an altercation. Police were called, etc. Very typical, unfortunately, situation. The biggest thing for us as Black birders that we related to is the fact that, like, I can't even do birding in peace. You know, that's one of those things where you're literally just walking around with binoculars. You don't have much equipment. You're not impeding and or hindering any type of anything. And it was just, I want to say an annoyance, but also disheartening to know that that can't even be done in peace. It really just started as a conversation. In a group message, we were all talking about how we relate to the situation. We've all been out somewhere and someone asked us what we're doing, even though I clearly have binoculars. But I'm Black,
Yeah,
so
you can't be birding.
You're right. Like,
What you
there's
doing with
no
those
way.
binoculars, girl?
Exactly. We're kind of connecting around that. Like, what are the things that you try and do to stay safe when you're out and you're birding? Or what are the things that you take into account when you try and pick a location to go birding? So all these things are things that we think about as a community, and we consider that even the average Black person doesn't think of, but also the average birder in general, regardless of race, doesn't think of. And so the Black Birders Week 2020 kind of sparked from that, and now it's an annual situation. So we're having one this year, this June as well. And hopefully it continues to do what it did last year, which was bring awareness, understanding, and spark the conversation that needed to happen. So
what happens during Black Birders Week?
Well, we've had one, and it was great. So we essentially had a different item or event for each day. So we had women in birding, so highlighting all the women. It was a hashtag. Each day has its own hashtag. Birding While Black, we hosted some conversations with the National Audubon Society, which is our national birding organization, and really just got some good conversations going that needed to be had. A lot of people had questions like, how do I get more diversity in my bird club? And we're like, well, did you ask the Black people if they wanted to go? Or like, did you put out any flyers? Like, do the people know that you want to diversify? Because what we found out during the week was that Black people are definitely out there. There are definitely Black people that enjoy the outdoors, fishing, hiking. Everybody's been fishing with their grandpa at some point.
Right.
So we exist, and I think the companies and the brands were either unaware or didn't want to do the work to find them. So that week really highlighted and showed the light on what people were already doing. So companies, you have no excuse now. All these birding organizations like Audubon societies and local groups, you have no excuse now. You know the Black people are there, and you know the Black people are doing it. If you want diversity, go find it. Come find us. We're happy to be here. So yeah.
Just like anything else, right?
Right, exactly.
I remember, I think it was earlier last year when Wells Fargo basically said they,
I remember
they couldn't find Black talent.
Right,
And it was
and
like,
everybody was like,
really?
I could probably give you 10.
I mean,
right now.
just you could look under a rock to start. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, if it just seems crazy, but I think you said it's either they're unaware or they're just not looking, and that's really the answer to everything, right?
Exactly.
You're either unaware or you're just not looking. But the answer is not that they don't exist.
The answer is not they don't exist.
Yeah, it's not that. Well, I had a chance to do a little bit of birding with you.
Yes,
and
it was great.
That
You
was
did
great.
wonderfully.
So we got to take a quick break. We're going to go and do some birding with Sheridan, and then you guys will see what an expert I am at these birds. I'm so good at it. I'm not even trying. Hang tight. We'll be right back with more According to Michelle. Hey guys, I promised you the park, and I am at the park, one of the local parks here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm with Sheridan. She's brought me to her happy place, right?
Yes, of course.
All right, so we're gonna find some birds.
We are.
Right?
They're out here, so
Okay.
we're definitely gonna look. We're gonna go bird watching. I brought you some binoculars,
Yay.
of course. So you gotta have the gear.
I'm ready
We're gonna
for
do
'em.
it. All right. So these are gonna be your
Oh, I
binoculars.
know how to use these. I'm ready, girl. Let's do it.
Let's see what you got.
Seems like
Let
I
me
can't see them.
Just a little. We're just
Oh,
gonna flip
there you
them
go.
around.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
We're gonna do it first. We're gonna do a little demonstration.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna look with you. Let's look at this tree trunk over here, right here.
Okay, yep.
So bring them to your eyes. You want to see one circle and not two. So if
Okay.
you see two circles, bring your two barrels together. And then we're going to use this top diamond up here, the little roller. That's how you focus.
Okay. I'm looking for birds. I'm a step ahead of you.
I was about to say, if you let me know if you find one.
Okay.
There should be quite a few common Atlanta Piedmont birds out here.
Like an American robin?
Of course, like the American robin. There's probably plenty of those
I'm
out
so
here.
good at that. Do you see
She
this,
knows.
guys?
Why am I
I
even
know
here?
the birds. I'm not even trying.
I don't even need to guide her.
Where are all the birds?
We gotta find them. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
So yeah, northern cardinals are oftentimes out here. Those are the red and black birds. You know, I went to UGA, so go dogs.
I went to Florida, so find me something with orange on it.
April, May is a really good migration period. And a lot of people think that birds aren't really in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if they're flying from the south, going to the north, and they pass through these huge cities, where are they going to stop?
Right here, right?
Exactly, right here. Piedmont Park or, you know, some other places are great places to kind of go bird watch in urban areas.
Got you. Oh, look, there's a nest. Right?
It is a nest.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, look at that. Oh, they're going crazy now. They heard me. They heard me call for them.
Good. I need to come through.
They're like, Michelle, we hear you. We love you. Do you hear them? They're going crazy.
There's a bird right there on the ground.
I want to get that bird.
Yeah.
Do you have me on camera? That's an American robin, right?
It is.
Oh, I'm so good at this.
This bird is chilling out.
Because
Like,
he likes me.
Right?
He's like, I'm here for you, Michelle. I love it.
He sees you, but he's chilling. A park like this, they're probably used to people.
This was great. I'm so glad that we decided to come out here. All right, let's head back into the studio and learn some more about STEM and your social justice work.
Yes.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with more According to Michelle. Welcome back, and I hope you guys enjoyed birding as much as I did. How'd I do?
You did great. We got that American robin.
I know.
You ran, sprinted, and he didn't fly away. So
He didn't.
He was
heard me
obviously.
call for him.
It was
heard me
meant to
call
be.
for him. It
was
was absolutely meant to be.
Yes.
So for those people who don't get the opportunity to be with an experienced birder like I was, what is like the one thing you think people should know when they are starting to bird? See what I did there?
I did.
A quick study.
Eloquent. My biggest advice for people who want to start is start in your house, start in your own backyard. One, that's where you spend the most time. But two, you can look at a bird and actually take the time to pull out a field guide or pull out your phone. I often use my phone instead of a book version. The Audubon Society has a great app that you can scroll through and use the characteristics of the bird. So you can say like, it was this big, all right, and it had these colors, and it's this time of year, and it'll give you the options. So you can use your apps, or you can go online. Georgia Department of Natural Resources has a great go outdoors online scenario where you can find different trails to go on if you want to leave your house. So these are all great opportunities to kind of get you familiar with the birds, because you see birds all the time. Like they fly past your window, you're on your way to work, you hear them, you see them, but you might not know what you're looking at or what you're hearing. So I would suggest use the apps, get familiar with maybe 3 birds at a time. So you learn your 3, you can identify those 3, and then you move on to a new 3. So that's usually what I tell people. And by the end of the summer, you should be able to rock and just name everything that comes by your window.
Right,
So,
at least you'll know what's in your general environment.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Always start there.
And I love what you said too about the mental health aspect of it. Just being able to focus and be present, right? I talked about that at the beginning of the show, but it really will give you just a few minutes to forget about everything else and just lay in.
Especially for Black people. We deal with a lot of trauma. We deal with a lot of internalized emotion, not wanting to show too much emotion at work or wherever. So it really, I think the outdoors is a great place to kind of center yourself, ground yourself, calm. And of course you can look at the birds and you can look at the trees, or you can just kind of, sit with yourself and listen to the wind or whatever you want to do.
Right.
But the outdoor really has something for everyone to get into. So yeah.
I love that. And one of the things that I'm passionate about is using your passion to support a cause or to foster a cause or push forward a movement. And you've done that with birding.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who want to do the same thing? How do you take that first step?
I think the first thing, and I can only speak from personal experience, what I did was identify your passion first. Like I said, I've always kind of been outdoors. I've always been involved with wildlife. And I figured out birds was my thing, quote unquote. But one day I was like, no, this is what I love to do. I would be out here even if no one paid me. I would do this even if I got nothing in return. And then turn that identification of passion into how can I get other people into what I'm into. And that's just really a matter of kind of just showcasing the greatness that you fell in love with. So I love birds because of the variety, the diversity. I love it because of the mental health aspect. I love it because it's a way for people to connect and you can meet new people and all kind of go into group birding and all these different things that you can use and tools that you can use. So how do I get other people involved in this? And I do that through my YouTube channel as well. So I make videos. People around the world can watch those and they can go birding in their own, communities. And that way, I might not be there, but I feel like I influenced somebody or helped somebody along in their journey. And so whatever your passion is, figure out why you love it, and then others will follow.
And how do you turn that into a social justice movement?
I think everybody can identify with some kind of social justice event that's going on, especially in the world today. And you should be passionate about something that's going on. Recently, it was the No Asian Hate movement, or long term, there's the crime and the jail system. There should always be some kind of social justice thing that you care about. And there are ways to take your passion and combine it with something else that you care about. You can just put the two together and figure out what's the best way for me to translate this into something that people can digest and understand and might even find interesting.
Right. I love that. I love how you do that. That's great. Well, hopefully somebody listening today or watching today got a little bit of inspiration from that, and you driven them to do something different.
Yeah. It's a big world. There are 8 billion people in the world. Something
should strike a chord.
Exactly.
So at the end of most segments, we do a game when we have time. So we don't have a lot of time today, but I do want to do this game because I think it'd be fun for you. Okay. And since sushi is your favorite food,
it is.
A little birdie told me that. Get it? You see what I did there? I'm just like connecting dots all over the place.
She's here with it.
And since fish are the birds of the sea, okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna play Name That Sushi.
Oh, okay.
And since we don't have a budget we don't have a budget for sound effects, so it's like sushi, 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 sushi. Name that sushi roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Da-da.
Okay. Ta-da.
Jazz fingers.
Look at her. She's following right in line.
We're here.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you a picture.
Okay.
And we're going to show our viewing audience a picture of a piece of sushi, and you're going to tell me what kind of roll it is.
Okay.
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 You got it? You ready?
We're going to see. We are going to see.
All right.
Oh, that looks like a California roll.
Okay, that's easy.
Very
I gave
basic.
Listen, I got to give everyone the first one. It's a gimme. All right, we're going to do one more because we're short on time. What is this roll? Oh, this one's too easy too. I'm going to do this one.
Okay. I want to say something like a dragon roll.
Another D, baby.
Dynamite?
Yeah, good job.
That's crazy.
Oh, not only does she know birding, she knows
That's
sushi.
insane. I always do
that's so awesome. Yay. Dang it, you shouldn't have won both. Guys, can we please make the questions harder next time?
Hey,
I can't get them.
I know my sushi.
You do know
I don't
your
know my
sushi.
Birds, I know my sushi.
You know them both, and that's why you're here.
Thank
you so much for coming on and being a guest on the According to Michelle show.
It's been a pleasure.
Please tell our guests what's next for you, how they can find you, subscribe to your YouTube channel, see you on PBS. You're everywhere.
All the things. So definitely. First and foremost, this year, Black Birders Week 2021 is coming up. It'll be May 30th through June 5th. And we have a lot of exciting things going on, a big group like Zoom Black Birding event, just a whole bunch of things. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then, of course, my socials, it is at Beanie, Beanie, Jean, Jean, _ on everything. So at Beanie Jean, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. And then, of course, my YouTube channel is also Beanie Jean as well. So, yeah, check me out. I have a whole bunch of stuff going on, entertainment, reviews, environmental education, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Awesome. All right, well, you got to come back and let us know about,
Of course.
Black Birders Week next week.
Yeah.
And you guys have to come back because we got another guest on the back end of this break. So stay tuned for more According to Michelle.
The power of connection. There are multiple roads to success. Each business or entrepreneur charts their own course. Maybe you had a great mentor that specifically guided you,
I just need help.
or a connection with a banking officer that showed you beneficial programs you didn't know existed. The South Fulton Chamber of Commerce is your connector to everything you and your business need.
Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and welcome to another episode of According to Michelle. And I'm super excited because we are in the city of Hapeville, Georgia today with the only mayor, the only mayor in a long time here, I can say that, Allan Hallman. Yay! If we're on the radio, I'd have like sound effects and it'd be like,
Okay.
it'd be all
Fan
kinds
noise.
of, yeah, exactly. And it'd make you seem really, really important.
Any cardboard cutouts watching you?
No, but you know what? That's
We could've brought
actually,
some cardboard
we
cutouts.
should have, because we can't do like a live studio audience. That would have been cool, and then you could have been looking, and it would be like, what's that movie? Remember the movie when the little boy, Home Alone?
Oh, yeah.
You remember when he
Yeah,
had like
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
George and all that? Yeah, that would have been awesome. That would have been great. So thanks for having us and letting us in your house.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're kind of testing something out where we come in and actually come into the space of the person that's being interviewed. Maybe it'll make you a little bit more comfortable.
Maybe
and,
so. I appreciate that.
and make you a little bit more hospitable. You've
try.
been very nice. Although
try
you
my
didn't
best.
offer me like a snack or anything.
I've got a bottle of water.
That's it. That's all. That's the best
That's all
Hapeville
I
can
got
do.
tonight. The bar's closed. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Well, it's closed now. It won't be when I leave. But thanks for having us. Seriously.
Thank you for coming.
So we were talking a little bit before we came on air, and you are literally, this is your 5th term
Yes, ma'am.
as mayor here.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think what's really interesting about you that a lot of people may or may not know is that you are a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You own your own company. And a little birdie told me that you actually started working, I don't know if it was in that company, but in that industry when you were 15. You installed your first.
Yeah, I installed my first security system when I was 15 years old. Yeah.
So I really wanted to talk about that because one of the things that we talk about a lot here on the According to Michelle show is entrepreneurship, passion, change makers, right? And people using what they were built to do, 1, to make money, but 2, to make a difference, right? And I think from your perspective, you're doing both of those. You have your own business, you started it a long time ago, and it's still running, but you've parlayed some of that leadership into running a city now successfully for quite some time. But 15, did you actually start the business when you were 15 or?
Well, when I was in my early teenage years, I was very fascinated by electronics and tinkered around with electronic stuff. Tried to fix stereos, burn things up, got electrocuted, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's what's wrong with you.
That's what's wrong.
So much
That's
makes sense
right.
now.
Made all my hair fall out. But one Sunday afternoon, after lunch and church, I was with my father at the post office right up here in Hapeville, as a matter of fact.
So you were born in Hapeville?
Born in Hapeville.
Born and raised?
58 years, yes, ma'am.
That's crazy.
Fourth generation, actually, in
Wow,
the city.
that's insane.
So anyway, we were at the post office, and in the trash can, I found a magazine called Security, Distributing, and Marketing, which was a trade journal for people in the security systems business. And I picked that up out of the trash can and said, this is cool stuff. And that's what got me interested in security systems.
Wow. And so you were about how old
I
when
was
that?
probably about 13.
About 13.
Yeah.
So how did you end up installing your first system at 15?
I actually met a fellow. Actually, his name was Kerry Paul. You've probably heard of Kerry Paul Ford.
Oh,
Kerry
yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Honda. And through an acquaintance, I met him, and he had a farmhouse in Madison, Georgia, and he needed a security system installed. And he didn't know I was 15. And my father had to drive me there on Saturdays. We couldn't do it during the week because he worked.
And you were in
I was
school.
in school.
Yeah.
So
That was when people were actually going to school.
That's correct. And so we drove out there every Saturday for like a month and a half before we finally got it finished. Because I'd never done it before. I didn't really know what I was doing. But we figured it out and we made it work.
That is crazy. And so your dad helped you?
Yes, my dad helped me. But yeah, he actually designed some devices that help the labor of the running the wires and all. Nowadays, all the technologies for residential, especially, is mostly wireless. But
right.
back then, you had to run wires.
Yeah, you were pulling wire back then.
Pulling wire, yes, ma'am.
So for a month and a half, your dad drove, and Carrie Paul had no idea.
He had no idea until I kind of got started. He figured it all out. He said, "Man, this guy's a kid."
But you pulled it off. But
pulled it off.
What's interesting though about that is that sometimes, every now and then, you can throw something on the wall and see what sticks, right?
That's true. That's correct.
And so through that, you ended up being able to actually hone your skill and start your own business. So when did you actually start officially the business?
I actually started a company when I was 16 years old. I started a company called Halltronics, which was my dad's idea to name it that.
That makes sense.
And I started that when I was in high school. And instead of going the college prep route in high school, I took the work program,
right,
where they allowed me to leave school a couple days a week. I'd get to leave at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would go. I hooked up with a man that had a security company across town, and was wiring houses for him back when I was 16.
That's insane.
It just kind of built from there.
Right.
Onesie twosie, you know, and I went through all the motions, bad business partnerships, bankruptcy, been there, done that. And that's just part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
Is being able to fail and knowing what your calling is and pick yourself back up and keep going and just never give up.
Right.
Persistence, like y'all. Persistence.
Very persistent. What was one of the biggest mistakes that you made, you think?
Getting in business with the wrong people. You know, business partnerships are like, I had a man tell me one time, partnership's the only ship that won't float. But actually, I have a good partner now. My business partner is Richard Good, and we've been, I actually hired him as an installer back in the 80s, late 80s, and our paths went various directions, but our paths crossed back up, and we've been together now for about 12, 13 years.
That's more than a lot of marriages last.
We've done very well. I was married 15, so.
You're almost there. You're almost there. So what's the secret to being able to find somebody good?
You know, I went straight from high school into business, so I didn't go to college. And a lot of the mistakes that I've made, I probably wouldn't have made if I had pursued higher education, some business training.
Right.
And I've just done it all by the seat of my pants.
Right.
And sometimes you fall on your face, and sometimes you soar like an eagle.
Right.
But, you know, you've got to be willing to step away from the emotion and not let failure be the end.
Right.
You know, you've got to realize that it's all a journey, and live by the motto that when one door closes, another one's going to open.
Right.
It may not open when you want it to or how you want it to, but if you're persistent, and we were talking, your cameraman and I were talking a little while ago about entrepreneurialism and the fact that you got to be willing to work when you don't really want to work.
Right.
Like we were talking about the weekends. Like, what's a weekend?
Right.
Weekend's just another day for me.
That's exactly right.
I'm doing something, either city-wise or my business-wise, 7 days a week.
Right.
You know, and of course I still try to make time for my family. My mother's 92, so
is that right?
I want to spend time with her. We have dinner 2 or 3 times a week.
Is she here in Hapeville
She's
still?
in Hapeville, yeah. She lives about 3 houses behind me. Yeah.
Is she in the same house that she was in that you grew up in?
No.
Okay.
No. That house got sold and torn down. But
got you.
But yeah, we stay close.
So what's your? Because if I heard you correctly, your dad had a business, right?
No, my dad worked for Delta.
Oh, he worked for Delta. Okay, he just helped you in your business.
Right. He actually, I think I probably got some of my electronics from him because he was a radio operator in World War II. Actually, he was in Normandy flying over Normandy on D-Day. My father, I had a nice, comfortable job for 3 years with the Fulton County School Board, and I left that job in the mid-'80s because I had the bug to go back out on my own. And my father looked at me and said, I think you've lost your damn mind. But then he said, but I wish that I had the bravery to do it.
Really?
Yeah. So
That must have been, that felt good, right?
that was a touching moment for me.
I bet.
It's like, you're a fool, but I admire you.
Right. But it is, though, interesting that your civic involvement and give back to the community and all of that stuff, it came from him, clearly.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And my mom as well, because my mom had the roots in the community. My father was from Macon, Georgia, and so my mom had the roots in the community. So it was kind of a good blend. You know, I got that desire to serve from him and the love of my community from her. So it's a good blend there.
So did you really think politics was in your?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Never even crossed your mind.
I'll run into people that I went to school with sometimes at our festivals, and they'll say, "You're the mayor?" Yeah, I'm the mayor. Because, you know, some of my high school shenanigans.
Oh, they remember.
Yeah, they remember.
They're like, there's a reason you didn't want to be in school, friend.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, we didn't have all the social media back then that follows you for the rest of your life.
Right.
So,
But memories serve us well a lot,
yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true. Absolutely.
So when they say that, you're the mayor, what do you say?
Yeah, I am. I just, you know, I had the desire I ran one time probably in the late 80s and got my clock clean. And then in the mid 90s, I started getting the bug. I said, you know, I want to run for council for a term or two, just kind of give back to the community. And so in 97, I ran in November of 97 and got elected and came in office in 98 and served 6 years, a term and a half. I had run for my second term on council, actually. And 2 years into that, our then mayor, C.C. Martin, fell ill and passed away. And I just felt like, I felt a tug, you know, why don't you run for his unexpired term? So I ran for his unexpired term, and I kept rerunning and rerunning and rerunning. And so, but I've enjoyed it. It's a labor of love, and we've got a great staff of people. So I'm not a micromanager. I don't hover around City Hall, sticking my nose into daily affairs. That's not the job of an elected official.
What's the job of a mayor from your perspective?
The job of a mayor, especially in a small town like Hapeville, it doesn't have to be a hands-on. I think it's just to kind of help lead the team and work with your fellow elected officials and realize this isn't my town.
Right.
It's our town. And there are going to be generations. We've got a younger council now than we've had in the past. They've got different visions than my generation had. And that's great, because that's how you keep evolving and moving towards newer goals, is by having new eyes on things.
Right.
They look at things differently. The millennial generation, the younger generation, they look at things differently than my generation. And that's great, because that's how you grow. That's how you evolve. So,
and stay relevant.
And stay
right?
relevant. That's correct. You do, because you can't keep doing things the way you did them 30, 40 years ago. They don't work anymore.
Right.
And so, to me, just leading them down, but at the same time, maintaining the sense of history that's brought us to where we are.
Right.
You know, every community, every family, everybody's got history, some good, some bad. But it's the journey. And you've got to always look back. It's just like the Ford Motor Company was here for 60 years,
right,
manufacturing cars. Great corporate citizen, second largest employer, largest taxpayer, largest water user. Great company. But they evolved and moved on and closed that plant. You know, we could have just shut down and said, oh, well, we're done now. But no, we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and looking at new opportunities, because like I said about the entrepreneurial thing earlier, when one door closes, another one will open.
That's right.
You know, it may take time, and of course, right on the heels of Ford closing, we had the Great Recession, if you will, and you know that was a double punch to the gut right there when that happened. But we weathered it. And now we're on in the COVID situation.
I know.
So it's economically speaking a very similar time.
Right.
And we'll weather that too. But it's it's a tough economy right now for cities. I was on call with my fellow mayors this morning and this afternoon all around Fulton County about some COVID funding that Fulton County had received, and we're trying to work it out where some of the cities can get more.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I know actually. Mayor Bianco was talking about that on the show a few weeks ago. So
she was on the call today. She's kind of taking the lead.
Yeah, she's championing that. Yeah,
she's working very hard on that.
Yeah.
So,
and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that money should be more equally dispersed. Let's say. And
our feeling about that is there's nobody closer to the people than municipalities.
Right.
We're closer to our constituents. I know the needs of Hapeville residents much better than somebody sitting at Fulton County Commission knows the needs of Hapeville citizens.
Right.
So we're just saying, give us our fair share, and we'll move on. So we'll see how that plays out.
See how it works. But it's interesting to say this because, Hapeville has a huge history, and I think it's interesting when people think of Hapeville. One, a lot of people don't even know where Hapeville is, right? They have no idea. But the other thing too is that they don't realize how diverse the municipality is, right? I think people thought traditionally Hapeville has been very, compared to Atlanta, a little whiter, right, than Atlanta is. But to know that, you have a black city manager and, black members and black staff and all of those things is, to your point, the evolution kind of what Hapeville is looking like.
Well, a city should look like its residents. And we went from being an all-white city council to the election cycle 3 years ago when Councilman Adams and Councilman Alexander came in, first African-American council members the city had ever had.
Yeah.
And it was just a natural progression. It wasn't a tense situation or anything like it. It was a very natural progression.
Which is great.
It is great because, there's so much racial tension right now, and I really believe that we're bigger than what we're being told, and that things are better than we're being told they are. And I think Hapeville's a fine example of that because we have evolved to our tagline is a community with a heart. We really don't care where you come from. We don't care what color you are. We don't care what language you speak. You're welcome here. And Hapeville's been that way. It's evolved over time. And it's just, I'm very proud of where we've come from a diversity standpoint. Very proud.
So it's interesting, right? 2020 and COVID has been bittersweet, right? Because there's a lot of people that are hurting, but there are a lot of people doing really well, right? A lot of small businesses, but a lot of municipalities as well. And I think what's interesting about Hapeville when I really research and see what's happening here, right? And then just knowing and being a part of it for a few years is that there's a lot of development that has been in play for a long time, and we're really starting to see it happen through COVID. Even just like you're saying, they're moving dirt. Is that what you called it?
Yes.
I would have said breaking ground, but hey, look, tomato.
Hey, breaking ground's when you say this is coming. Moving dirt's when it's
actually happening, right?
That's right.
And so Hapeville to me is one of those places, right? Because it's like you go away for a few months and you come back and there's something new, right? And then you go away and then you come back and it's like, oh my gosh, they have sidewalks everywhere. And then you leave and you come back and there's like new businesses. And so I feel like Hapeville is one of those places where people could easily sleep on it, right? And not really understand all of the great opportunity that's here from an economic standpoint, from a residential standpoint. And so, I think people miss the boat sometimes on starting here, right?
Right.
Because so much cool stuff is happening.
Well, the things that are happening, some of these projects, like we just finished up the rail corridor project about a year ago where we redid the streetscapes and everything along the railroad. But that project was over a decade.
Right.
Over a decade. So,
right.
everybody thinks this has happened overnight, but
Right.
it's been very slow, very methodical, and very planned. I mean,
Sure.
this didn't happen. It wasn't by happenstance.
Right.
It was well thought out, well planned, and well executed, quite frankly.
So was the beautiful mural that's right out here on this building, was that well executed and planned?
Absolutely.
And tell me about that mural.
Well, which one? The one on City Hall?
The one, yes.
Yes. That is a mural depicting the first African American business owner in Hapeville. She was a florist, and so that came about. We started getting in the mural business in about 2010, and this was just one of many murals. We've got a very big mural now on the side of In-City Suites on North Central Avenue
I don't think I've seen that one.
that you should check out.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that one. But you know, a lot of that's come under your leadership.
Well, we started. It all started with our designation of being a Main Street city, and once we became a Main Street city, we started saying, we need to start having an art component in town. And one of the first things we did was we had benches that we installed around town, and we painted them. We had them painted by some high school or some school kids and some local artists, and that kind of started it. And then we developed the theme Hapeville, where things are taking off, and then that's where it led us to the butterfly. You'll see tons of butterflies around Hapeville.
Right.
That's what led us there, because the butterfly, of course, represents like a metamorphosis
Sure.
and Hapeville rebranding.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of part of the journey of the whole arts component in Hapeville.
Right.
And to me, the arts piece has been a key ingredient to our success, is having the arts here. And not only the visual arts, but the performing arts.
Absolutely.
As well, the presence of the Academy Theater.
Right.
And what they've done here.
Right.
And we've partnered with them using hotel motel tax tourism product development funding, and that's how we were able to do the Performing Arts Theater, the Hateful Performing Arts Theater,
Gotcha.
in partnership with the Academy Theater.
That's great. And the arts and culture really is where it is right now. I mean,
And it's
this
a draw. I mean, it brings people from all over.
Right.
And it brings again diversity. It brings a diverse group of visitors into your city.
Right.
Porsche Cars North America does the same thing with their driver experience track.
Right.
They're bringing in 50,000 unique
from
visitors
all
a year
over
from all over
the
world.
place. That's right.
So, yeah, it's a great little place to be in our little 2.5 square miles here.
So let me ask you this: since you didn't expect to be in politics, and you land in politics, and you stay there for years and years and years, I mean, would we see you doing anything else in like if you were done here? Are you just gonna go back and run full-time Crown Security? And
Well, Crown Security's full-time already.
Is this your part-time gig?
Full-time and a half. The mayor thing's definitely a part-time gig. No, really and truly, I don't have the stomachs for, people say, oh, you're a politician. No, I'm not a politician.
I wouldn't say that.
I consider myself an elected official serving my community.
Right. Right.
Servant leadership, if that's what you want to call it. Because I feel a dedication to this city, and I care greatly about this city. But when I look at politics on a bigger scale, especially in the world, in the climate we're in nowadays, count me out.
You don't want any parts of
I
it.
don't want any parts of it. It's too much.
What's the difference between a politician and an elected official?
A politician, my own personal opinion of that is, a politician is looking at situations going, what's in it for me? An elected official is looking at it going, what's best for my community?
Wow.
That's my philosophy, because I don't need to make money from my political connections. I'm fully capable of making my own money.
Right. Yeah, you've been doing this since you were 15.
So I'm fully capable of that. So I don't need political connections
Right.
to enhance my financial well-being.
Sure.
So my heart is pure when it comes to serving Hapeville.
I love that. Guys, we're here with Mayor Allan Hallman in the city of Hapeville, Georgia. And we're actually sitting in the lobby of City Hall, which is really cool because you get a little peek into what it looks like here. And so one of the things that you don't know if you know, I know you've been watching my shows a little bit, but I don't know if you know, at the end of every segment, I play a game with play a game. And so I think what's really cool, and actually I don't come up with the game, Sierra, who is our media apprentice, she comes up with these games. So she sent me a couple of games for you. So this game is called What's the Fact? Okay. So I'm going to ask you questions
Okay.
about Hapeville,
Okay.
and you have to give me the answer.
Okay.
And if you're wrong,
If I'm wrong, I'm in bad shape.
you're in really
I
bad
just hope
shape.
you're not coming up with anything really obscure, so we'll see.
Oh, it's obscure to the nth degree. Okay, how many residents are there in Hapeville?
Right around 67, 6,800.
6,800 residents, okay. And what is the Hapeville color?
The Hapeville color? Like logo color? Mm-hmm. Well, the old logo is green and white, like you see back there. And the newer one is kind of an orange and brown.
Orange and brown, okay. And what is the logo for Hapeville, the tagline? I mean, not logo, the tagline for Hapeville.
Tagline is community with a heart.
Okay. What is the new tagline for Hapeville?
Imagine Hapeville.
No, that's wrong. You got everything right but that. The new one is, it all starts here. Jeez,
tagline.
Pete. Goodness
That's right.
gracious.
I know.
We always go out on a bang, and that was the wrong bang. Okay, I got one more question for you. I'm going to give you a word, and I want you to give me a word back. So I'm going to say one word.
Okay.
I want you to tell me the first word that comes to your mind. You ready? Mayoral.
Election.
Okay, we can go out on that. That was a good one. That was a good one. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We've been here with, I was about to say doctor, with Mayor.
No.
He's a doctor of love.
I've gotten elevated.
He's a doctor of Hapeville, with Mayor Allan Hallman here in Hapeville, Georgia. And why don't you tell everybody how they can find your city and how they can find you?
You can find us online at www.hapeville.org. We're on Facebook at various different addresses on Facebook. So if you just search Hapeville on Facebook, you'll find many things, many links on Facebook and various Facebook pages that promote Hapeville. And my email address is ahallman, AHALLMAN, at hapeville.org. If you have any questions or would like to reach out, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
And make sure you send them nice notes, not nasty notes to the email. If you're complaining about something, just call the front desk.
There you go.
There you go. Do you like that?
404-669-2100.
There you go. You actually have that. And then if you ever need any wiring done in your house, then you got to call Crown Security, right? Crown Security. We got to keep you paid.
Fayetteville, Georgia, yes.
Oh, it's based out of Fayetteville.
Based out of Fayetteville.
All right, yeah, we got to keep this money thing going so
There
that
you
you can
go.
keep being mayor until
There
you're
you
like
go.
100. Guys, as always, we're closing out another episode of According to Michelle with me, Michelle Taylor Willis. And if you want me and send me nice notes, feel free to do it at Michelle Taylor Willis on just about everything. Again, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, see ya.
Even though some things are far away, we plan for them ahead of time because they're important. When it comes to your celebration of life, it's really no different. You want to plan ahead now so your family doesn't have to later, and create a service that reflects your values, character, and traditions, no matter what they may be. At Dignity Memorial, we listen to every detail and make sure everyone is remembered.